Hello, Trevor. I
Oh,
failed. I failed.
Nacho, don't worry. I am in control again.
Are you in control?
I am in control.
That's good to know. I
Hello,
failed.
hello
I
out
failed.
there.
Like, hello out there, one person. Uh, this is usually the time where I kind of post about the show, but I'm failing to find my own show, and to be able to share it. So I guess that
Okay,
yeah,
whoever
it's gonna be.
comes will come. That's the beauty of tonight's show, I think.
Oh,
And
oh yeah.
and
So
and
whoever
whoever
comes
comes
and
may
if
also go.
Yeah, and if you're watching the show right now, just because like you found the show, and I'm like one of the show hosts, and I haven't found the show, so maybe like could you like give us a fave and like just share the show, because
Yeah,
I'm supposed to
just go
share the
ahead and share
show
the
so
show
that
for
at
us.
least my friends come into the show, but like I haven't found the show, so I can't share it. So if
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind, like that would be lovely if you could like just share the show.
I mean, it's a free show. It's kind of like the least anyone could do is just go ahead and share it while the hosts don't share it. I mean, that would be like really, really generous of you.
Right.
But
I'm
but
getting
anyway, to
I'm
the to the,
I'm getting
to the few
private
people watching, I'm Trevor
I'm
and this
getting
is
private
Nacho. In
messages.
case
Or yeah, hi, I'm Nacho. This is the show. It usually starts a bit more fluidly. I'm getting private messages on WhatsApp with links to my show, but like to whoever is
from
watching
yourself.
and sending me the show, yeah, I need the Facebook version of the show so I can share it. But anyway, or maybe I can share this. I don't know. It's a mess. What a mess. How's it
What a
going,
mess.
everyone?
How are we all doing? I should also say I'm a bit of a mess today as well because I was logged out of our online live streaming browser software, whatever we want to call this thing. So I didn't have any of the controls for the show up until just the exact moment we went live, and so that was very thrilling for me.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, it's very thrilling, especially
yeah,
like when you're left at the mercy of my like skills into controlling.
yeah, and whatever other
Uh,
sickos you might invite in and give them privileges and anyway.
yeah, I should have
Nacho, I
done
don't know if
that.
you noticed. Did you notice anything different about my
Yeah,
my
I
background here?
I noticed a lot of different things. Like the first of
Yeah,
all is that you're sitting in a completely different place.
yeah, good
You're sitting in
noticing.
front of you're not in your usual couch. You're more in like
No,
an office kind of chair style. Uh,
yeah,
you have a background like of a bunch of like artsy things, and you have
yeah.
my film also, or some film in the background.
No. Your film is elsewhere, but the over this shoulder, that's a portrait I did when I was like in. Why can't I
Oh,
figure this out? When I was in like
right.
when I was 10 years old, and then the other one. Why can't I figure this out? Is my mom did this one. But no, I moved everything in my apartment today. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nice, nice. I
Yeah,
couldn't tell because I've never been in your apartment,
that's
but
true. But
maybe I make a
you can at
mistake.
least tell that I'm sitting somewhere different. Anyway,
Yeah, I
this
can
is
tell
not
that.
what we do on this
Anyway,
show.
sorry. Hi everyone. This is just Trevor and me catching up. This is a show. This is a call-in show, and as usual, as per usual, we have like a topic that we chat about, and you guys can call in. So, Trevor, I'm gonna do something that is like almost critical, or you already did it.
I already did
Uh,
it. I told you I got the controls back.
okay, so then you explain this part.
So yeah, so we want anyone who wants to call in. We invite you to call into our show. As you can see in the comments or wherever you're watching, there is a little post from the Comedy Cafe Berlin with what our theme is that we've yet to introduce, but also a link to StreamYard. And if you want to call in and talk to us about the theme or anything, you can click that link, and we'll bring you in when we get around to. And I will post it again in case, like I know on the Twitch stream, it doesn't show you the past comments. So should have just popped up now.
Yeah,
So yeah, please call in. We love to talk to people, whether we know you or don't know you. It doesn't matter. It's a good time.
yeah. In
Yeah,
fact, we need you because this is a call-in show. So the magic of the show
exactly.
is that you guys call in and we chat about something. You can also like feel free to derail whatever topic we have in mind for the day, for the
You
evening.
have
Like
you
feel
have
free to.
permission.
You have like total permission, a blank check to
Total
come up with.
blank check. Yeah.
But we do have like something like a conversation starter to get going.
Yeah.
And since I picked the topic of this week, I could explain it. And tonight's or today's topic, depending on where you are in the world, is teachers. Love them or hate them. Love them or hate them. I guess like it's more like it's less about like teachers. Do you love them or do you hate them? But we want to hear like like stories and
About
anecdotes
a
and kind
story
of
about a teacher that you
about
loved or about
about
a teacher you
special
hated.
teachers,
Yeah.
that give you feelings,
Yeah.
like other good
Yeah.
feelings or bad feelings, or like somewhere neutral but just like funny.
Because I think we
Yeah,
can just clarify, just in case anyone's reading that topic and maybe a little more confused. This isn't the poll. We're not deciding whether teachers
right,
we love them or we hate them. I would probably say we agree that we love teachers. We love teachers, I think, mostly. We may not
yeah,
love all teachers, but we love teachers, I
right,
think.
yeah, exactly.
We are
So
teachers. You're a teacher. I've taught some things before.
I've been known to teach, I guess. Yeah, yeah, I guess true. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am a
So
teacher.
what inspired this topic for you?
Yeah, so I was trying to think of things that kind of like make people like talk about kind of personal things, but that you're kind of like detached from now. Like, so I started thinking about some things, and like then like I suddenly spontaneously thought about the teacher I had um, in middle school, I guess, or like junior school. And this teacher was called Mrs. Filippelli, and she was kind of like one of those general teachers that you have that teach a bunch of different things. But one of the things that I remember that I loved her as a teacher, it was great. But I think like the main thing I remember like that I loved and like was this activity that she had us do that I think like it stuck in my mind. And you're gonna find this funny, but uh, I think I don't know how long we spent, but it was kind of like a thing that we did for a month, but like in kind of like small like pockets of time where we were changing the lyrics to "Hey Jude," and coming up with new lyrics for "Hey Jude." And I remember really enjoying doing this, especially
This
like
was
as
a
a
this was a life changing moment. It sounds like.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like doing the Beatles and like trying to change some of the lyrics of the song. And I remember like vividly that like the way we used to do this, like right now you would just like, I don't know, like maybe have a Google Doc or something like this. But I remember that the way we did it was like we wrote the whole lyric down on one of those like paper things that you have like a block on a something that is standing, and you can
Yeah.
flip
Yeah.
pages,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So we wrote it in one of these things where you could just flip page after page, right, of the whole song. And we had that in the middle, in the
And
center
the
of the
teacher is
class.
just standing there like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
like,
Jude,
hey,
don't make it
bloom,
bad.
blank, and like trying to like, okay,
Take
what
a
what word goes here?
song
Make
and make it
yeah,
better."
yeah,
Yeah,
better is a
that's
good
funny.
one. So it was like kind of pitching. It was kind of like my first writer's room, in a way,
Wow.
right? As
Yeah.
a comedian, it was my first writer's room. We were writing kind of like in a way like a sketch. I don't know if it was in the end funny,
Yeah.
but I remember like that we were all like sitting in a room and somebody was kind of running. The head writer was the teacher, and she was
Yeah.
taking ideas from everybody and like, oh, that fits really well, and like, and we came up with our version of Hey Jude. So yeah, that's something
Wow.
I
And
remembered I
how old were
really liked.
you? How old?
I think I must have been maybe 12, maybe
Okay.
less, like
That's a
10,
pretty, yeah,
12.
I was going to
I
say
don't know.
that's a pretty basic school day for a 12-year-old. I feel like you should be learning more complicated things than
I mean,
parody
like
the Beatles.
as I say, like it wasn't like a school day. It was something like kind of like a palate cleanser from
Ah, okay,
like
I see.
learning stuff. So it's
Yeah,
something fun that we did every day, kind of like a more of a long-term project.
it was like the day before a
That
holiday or something.
No, it took several days. It was like many days. So we would did
Oh wow.
like, let's say we did a verse every week, right? So then like every week we would do a new verse. So in a way it would cut the monotony of like classes and be this kind of special thing that we did.
Yeah.
And then I have another like, then I was trying to think of bad or
Wait,
like
can I
especially
before you go to
weird
the
stuff.
bat? Before you go to the bat, I
Yeah,
just want to say
yeah,
because the teacher that comes to mind for me is a creative writing teacher, so it like fits this writers' room thing a little bit that you were talking about. But this was I took a creative writing class in high school, and this teacher who mostly taught like English classes, English literature, and stuff like that. He was a writer and a novelist himself, and so he would like teach this creative writing course. And he wrote a book actually, a novel. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but something with Orson Welles and like maybe it was My Time with Orson Welles, something like that. And I was talking about this with a friend recently because the book got made into a movie by Richard Linklater. You know this filmmaker?
no, yeah. Well, I know by name, but yeah,
Yeah, but like my high school English teacher, while he was my teacher, had this book being adapted into a movie. And like that teacher was
that's
very influential on me because this creative writing class was basically the first time I ever made a movie myself, like the dumbest
yeah,
possible video for a project with friends. Maybe it wasn't the first time, but like the first time I took it like very, very seriously and tried to do something
yeah,
like cinematic of
yeah.
sorts. And for like the entire year, this class, I just used it as an opportunity to make these dumb videos. So this teacher was very important, I think, in the long run
Oh,
for
that's
me.
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I don't
remember
even think
like
he liked me
actually
that much, but yeah.
now that you say making a video, I remember a teacher that made us do like, kind of like a project for biology actually. So we had to pick like kind of like an ecosystem and we had to do a project. And I don't know what came of us, but we decided to film like a documentary about about this ecosystem that I don't remember which one it was. It was like the swamp or something like this.
Yeah.
Uh, and I remember like going with my friends to the park and shooting stuff, and then
Yeah.
going back home and shooting some introduction where we would talk about like the thing. And I think we did something with puppets. It was pretty freaky, and we were
Yeah.
like, I think like yeah, maybe we were at this point like 14 or so. But I remember that being like incredibly fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I actually think this topic is one of those that you and I could probably talk about without any colors. Like we could probably
Oh,
keep connecting
absolutely. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one of the things in this class I also did was we had watched Grizzly Man, this Werner Herzog documentary in that class.
Which I
And
haven't watched yet.
okay, well I won't ruin it for you, but that was the first time I had seen
Right.
anything by Werner Herzog, and we had to do a little documentary thing. And of course, my friends and I made a like mockumentary. We weren't able to express like sincerity, I think, at
Right.
that age. Uh, and we did this documentary in the style of a Werner Herzog thing, just about like some dumb high school kid, and that was like what Herzog was examining. I don't even remember it, but ironically, because like now I've gone on to do like Werner Herzog impressions like way too much, and I didn't even do it then. My friend did, and it was actually really good. Probably was like
Yeah.
better than what mine is.
And Werner Herzog inspired documentaries as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Um,
yeah. So that also makes me think like, oh my god. I mean, like we could speak about this stuff for
yeah.
hours,
Please
but like
call
we
in though if
definitely
you're
want to hear
watching.
you.
Call in or
Yeah.
comment. Give us something to go off. I mean, we're doing this because we want to catch up with each other, but we also want to talk to anyone out there who's
Yeah.
watching, and no matter who you are.
Yeah. I want to talk about one that was actually pretty weird. So
Okay.
there was this teacher that her thing was like choosing her like favorites in the class, and the
Hmm.
thing that you would like gain
That was
as
her
favorites in
thing.
the class, that was her thing, choosing the favorites in the class, which already
It's like that's
no and
already
pretty
against the code of
weird.
conduct. I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what she would do is like at some point, like in the morning, she would give you money. And
Sorry,
this is not gonna
I
go
need to
dark.
make
Don't
sure I
worry,
heard
don't
that
worry.
correctly, though. Your
No,
teacher
no,
gave
this is
you
not gonna
money.
go. She would give you money. She would pick two people every day, and she would give you money. And this is not gonna go dark, but she would ask you to go to the kiosk and buy her Kinder surprise eggs,
Uh-huh.
like this chocolate eggs that have a
Yeah.
toy inside, because she was collecting the toys. So like she would give each one of you,
But she
like
didn't
she
have
would
time.
pick two
She was
favorites.
teaching. She couldn't go. Oh.
Yeah, she was teaching,
Right.
right?
Right.
She couldn't do it. She would send the students, so she would give it like to one student, and also like she would do that because she was trying to collect them. I remember like it was like a time where the kinder had like this kind of figurine that was not one of those that you had to assemble something. It was more like kind of like a Smurf kind of like figurine thing, and it was kind of like gnomes or something, like a bit different, and they all had different personalities, and she was collecting them and trying to get the full collection. So then she would pick her favorite students and try to and give them each money and see like if they would like get lucky and bring her the goods, or if they would bring her something that was like already in the collection, right? And then I think you were allowed to eat the chocolate, but I don't remember that. But I
Mm.
thought, I don't know, I remember that vividly. If there's anybody from my school like watching right now, I don't
No,
think
please.
so.
I hope we
I don't
have
think
someone. I hope we have somebody.
no,
And
they don't
again,
pay attention.
yeah,
They don't
again,
pay attention to
comment,
what I did.
call. In fact, if someone just wants to comment right now, I can guarantee you will feature the comment on the live stream. That's going to be a promise I can make to the
Yeah,
first person to
and
comment
also
and the next person to
we
comment
have
and
a
the person
call.
after that.
We have a caller on the
Yes.
line.
Yeah. Do
So
you want
I
to
think
introduce?
like it's a good time to. Yeah, I'm gonna introduce this caller on the line, which I actually we do not know. So please, just just welcome to the show. A person that wants to be referred to as Mr. Penn.
Mr. Penn, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Trevor
Hello, Mr.
Silverstein.
Penn.
Trevor Silverstein, I
Trevor.
found you.
Yeah.
I think they're talking to you, Trevor.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. Can you speak a little more clearly, Mr. Penn?
Trevor Silverstein.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now I can hear
Well,
you. Yeah, but it's a little bad.
I'm your English teacher. I'm your creative writing teacher from high school, and I finally found you.
Oh, I know who this is. Okay, so
No,
in case
the
anyone could
quality is
hear,
really
Mr.
bad.
Penn just said he was my
I have
creative
to
writing
call again.
teacher
I
and
can't
English
hear
teacher.
you.
Yeah.
You what?
Mr. Penn, we cannot hear you very well. Like it's kind of
I
cutting and like it's a bit.
Okay, we lost
Okay,
Mr. Penn. I think
Mr.
Mr.
Penn,
Penn's
we
gonna
lost
call
Mr.
back
Penn.
though. Mr. Penn's gonna
They're
call
gonna
back.
call back, but well, that
Just
was
to highlight in the
Trevor,
comments,
like,
Katinskaya, thank you
yeah,
for your
Katinskaya is
contribution.
back.
Katinskaya, also a person who loves to be in the comments and maybe is very happy to stay there and not come on the stream.
But they will be very welcome in the show.
Yeah. And Josh Delson says their connection is obviously bad, referring to Mr. Penn, because they're calling in from America. Hey, Josh said it.
That was
Not
an
me.
interesting call. Trevor, what do you think are the shots that this is actually your creative writing teacher?
Well, let's see. He seems to be back on the line, so let's bring him in and we'll figure out. Mr. Penn, can you hear us again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Much better now.
Much better. Yeah. Thanks for calling.
Okay, I don't know if you remember me, Trevor, but I'm your creative writing teacher from high school.
Yeah, I was just saying before when you said that the first time that I don't think Mr. Penn, you were the teacher that I was talking about though. I did have the teacher I was talking about before was Mr. Kaplan. So you were the teacher I had right after him though, and I mean maybe I don't know how much I want to say about the experience, but
well, I'm calling in because I've been looking for you for about 20 years, and you haven't handed in your assignment yet.
I don't know,
Trevor,
Mr.
what's
Penn. I don't
going
understand
on?
what are you talking about? What assignment? I graduated,
Well,
like however
what
many years ago.
assignment? May I remember you, Mr. Silverstein, that the whole class got the assignment to write a short story about my dog, and you've slipped through the cracks. Now I've spent the last 20 years hunting you down, and now I
Okay.
finally found you, and you're having fun in some kind
Mr.
of
Penn,
podcast show.
I'm glad you found me because I think you are someone I've always wanted to sort of get closure with, perhaps, because as you mentioned, you wanted everyone in the class to write a short story about your dog, and
Yes.
you wouldn't let anyone write about any other subject matter. You only would let people write about your dog. No one knew your dog. We never met your dog. You just wanted
Well,
us to write about your dog.
that's the creative part.
Yeah, but you
Right.
like would describe.
I see
You
that.
made us read. You made us read stories that you wrote about your dog and told us to be inspired by your stories.
Well, what I want to say about this is that if you put a constraint on the task, it will allow you to be creative within that constraint. But I'm still waiting for your short story, and I feel like you're diverting from the topic.
I
No, I'm
agree.
sorry.
I have to no, I have to say, Trevor, here that I agree here with Mr. Penn. I think you're diverting. I mean, like they took the trouble to find you for 20 years. They're calling you now and telling you like you forgot to give in this assignment. I don't know if your dog ate your assignment, Trevor, in this case, but I think like you're at fault here.
Well, thank you,
Look,
Nacho.
Mr. Penn, I'm a bit confused how you only just found me. Like, how
Well,
did you just find me?
well, I was well, I just started using a computer a few days ago. It was
Makes
mainly trying
sense.
to find you through it, like a church, like books, saying if you've married or where you relocated. But I lost your trail.
Right.
Okay.
No, that
Yeah.
that makes total sense. I mean, Mr. Penn, like, let me tell you, I thank you so much for calling, and like, I would love to hear more about yourself. Like, I can't avoid recognizing that you have a very interesting family name. If you wanna talk about yourself, your family, and uh, your background.
Well, thank you, Nacho, for asking. It is Mr. Penn. It's not Mr. Penny or Mr. Pin or whatever. It's Mr. Penn. And well, my whole family has been in the creative writing business, I might say. My grandfather,
Right.
he wrote
Your
short
grandfather
stories
was a pen.
about dogs, and my father, he wrote short stories about dogs, mainly about the family dogs. And well, I was inspired.
Right. I mean, you're the Penn family, I guess. Your father was a Penn. Your grandfather was a Penn.
Yes.
Uh, Interesting.
Can I? I'm just like I feel really bad about how I was behaving by not sending you the short story, Mr. Penn. I'm really
You're a
sorry.
naughty boy.
What'd you say?
You are a naughty boy,
Yeah,
Trevor.
I know. I'm sorry. And but anyway, what I wanted to say is that I'm not going to send you the short story, but like it's been too long. I don't remember anything about what your dog was like in the short stories you gave us as examples. But I want to apologize for something. I'm not even sure if you like got this when we were students. I mean, I know it was like a very popular thing to do, and you might know what I'm about to say. But do you remember when we would raise our hand like a different student every day, and it would be a question, and someone would go, "Mr. Penn, yes," and then
Uh-huh.
you remember that,
Yeah.
Mr. Penn, yes.
Well,
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. No,
Excuse me, Mr. Penn is? Remember that?
yeah, I remember that. So what's this about?
Did you get it?
Sorry?
Mr. Penn is?
I don't know what the question is, Trevor.
No, right. That's
All right.
But if this is some kind
All
of
right. This has turned very like junior school like. Trevor, thank you for your contribution, and thank you, Mr. Penn. I think like we really appreciate your call. We definitely appreciate people calling from our lives. So yeah, I will try to see if I can convince Trevor to send you a proper story about your dog. I mean, he's a writer now, so he should be able to come up with a story about the dog.
I can come. Yeah, I can fix something up pretty fast, probably.
Well, okay. Well, I appreciate it. It's been. I also want to find some closure here.
Okay.
Good.
And I have a long list of
That's
other
nice.
students that I'm trying to track down. But one at a
Maybe I
time.
can.
Well,
Can I help you find any of them? Maybe.
Well, what about Patricia from your class?
Some other students from my class.
Yeah? Patricia
Yeah,
Home?
name Patricia Holm.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Patricia Holm. Gee whiz, I guess we'll never figure it out. All right.
All right.
okay, Mr. Penn. Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
I
you,
like
Mr.
it.
Ben.
Bye-bye.
You're a good guy. Okay.
Wait,
Bye-bye.
Mr. Penn. Wait, a question before
Yes?
we hang up on you. Do you have any? Do you remember any teacher fondly, or like, do you have any experience with good teachers or bad
Amazing
teachers?
question.
Well, I had a science teacher when I was young, and he was special because he was always talking a lot about different things. And once he told us how to hang ourselves.
What?
Because
God.
he was a weird fella, but one thing he told us that if you want to hang yourself, you were supposed to use soap with the rope. So this is not a joke.
Okay. Bye, Mr. Penn.
No, this
Bye,
is
Mr.
real.
Penn.
No, Mr.
No,
Okay,
bye, Mr.
I'm
Penn.
sorry.
No, bye.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, terrible.
So I
terrible.
remember that guy. That guy was not that was not a good teacher. I have to be honest. He was a really bad teacher.
No, terrible.
But it's kind of incredible that he tracked me down.
Yeah, incredibly ironic name as well. Interesting. So Trevor, do you have any more examples that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. Like, I don't have. I don't need to have a funny angle on it. I don't have a funny angle on this at all. But I did have one other teacher like that distinctly had a huge impact on me, and it was my photography teacher in high school. I guess it makes sense that creative writing and photography are the two classes that have had the most impact on me.
They are the two components of movie making.
Yeah, but this teacher was really interesting because his name was Mr. Standing. That's not the interesting aspect of it, but he had like a long career as a photographer for different newspapers and magazines and stuff like that before he went on to teaching. And so he was kind of like a bit of a celebrity around the school in the sense that he was everyone's favorite teacher. He was like the kind of the coolest guy. And I don't know why necessarily, because I don't think I was particularly good at photography or anything like that, but maybe I just was very, very interested in it. But he took a really strong liking to me and really liked to help me try to do some interesting things. And I remember they had this camera that I think was his own. He had his camera that was like a large format film camera. You know, these portrait photography cameras. Yeah, it was beautiful. I don't know when it was from, but must have been relatively old. And he let some of the students take a photo with it. I took a photo of it with my classmate that turned out.
That's pretty cool.
The most beautiful photo I've ever taken, probably will ever take. Just so detailed and huge.
Do you have it?
Well, I did have it for a long time. And this was a person it was just a classmate of mine. It wasn't like a friend. So I always felt a little weird that I had this like portrait in some ways. Just like kind of my parents had it. I didn't have it with me. And when I was back in the States recently, I like was moving stuff out of my parents' house, and I was like, I got to do something with this portrait. And so like I contacted the kid who I hadn't seen in 10 years, and I was like, hey, I have this beautiful like photo of you that like you or your family should have. And I drove like 2 hours to bring it to him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it was I can't. It's not easy to describe how this photo looked because it was just like this massive, like it was like this, like big, like
Wow.
probably a meter and a half
Wow.
tall, and like it was big, and it was just this like really close up profile shot like this of this guy.
That's amazing.
And yeah. So like that teacher was really awesome because I don't know, I guess like he went out of his way to introduce people to like different techniques and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily learn in a high school photo class, I think.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I want
me into a
to.
lot of the music I like too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me like when you like. I mean, like has been an influence in like the career you took, and I thought maybe I should share like something that really influenced me, like science-wise, before we take the next call. Like, so this is
Wait,
gonna be like,
before you say that,
yeah,
I just want to highlight there's some action going on in the Carl Clancy had offered that to crowdsource the short story I need to write for Mr. Penn in the comment section. And Josh Selshon said, we can do it one word at a time. And so if you're on YouTube, we've so far got once upon a cloudy, and the story continues from there.
Nice.
So we'll find out.
Ah,
so we've got a story that started. That's a
interesting.
new thread we have.
We got a story going on in the chat. That's amazing.
Wow. One word at a time.
So yeah. So I was gonna tell a little of a story about like some of my science origins. It's a bit embarrassing, but I think it's kind of funny. I think I must have been like maybe 10 or so, and I was in third year of junior school. Yeah, so maybe 10 or less. I don't know. But like this is known. I don't think anybody else in my school remembers this anymore. But I remember this as the copper craze or the gold craze of I don't know, 1993. So basically, we were playing like in the courtyard and stuff, like in breaks, and then we noticed that like the soil in our courtyard had these shiny elements that kind of like shone kind of like gold. And then like as kids we became fascinated with this earth and like that had gold, and we kind of thought it was gold. So then like all the kids in school, like, or at least a bunch of us, started accumulating like packages of soil. We started like grabbing like sheets of we started like grabbing like sheets of paper. This is too funny. We started grabbing like sheets of paper and doing kind of like little like pockets where we could like dump a bunch of soil, and each of us like accumulated like 20, 30 like packages of soil, and until the teachers kind of like figured that we were doing this and went like, what the fuck is going on? And it was such a weird thing. It was kind of like we were under the belief that like this was gold or copper or something like this. And the interesting thing that happened was that like the teachers, like, instead of just dismissing us and tell us to like stop doing this bullshit, they organized a whole thing where like our whole class, like 20 kids, we went to the high school. I went to a school that the junior school was connected to a high school, but we're in different buildings. So we did a short trip to the high school, to the high school chemistry and physics teacher called Mr. Ferrando, and so that he would like test this and see if it actually was copper or gold. And I remember like being there and him doing this this thing where he would do this kind of test where that included some kind of fire, and that if the fire like and he would put the pocket of like soil with the fire, and he said something like, if the flame goes blue, then it is this kind of metal. If it doesn't, it's not. And we were all so excited, like,
Yeah.
Rich. And I think I've never been that disappointed in my life. So I think like part of like my interest in science comes from trying to find something where I'm not that disappointed again. But like it turns out
the
that
endless search.
the endless search for like a discovery that is the opposite of that. Because but in general in science it's quite the opposite. Like you're like predominantly going to be disappointed. So I think like that's something that I thought it was pretty cool on the teachers that they decided to contact this other teacher to show us this.
That's very cool. Very cool. And
Anyway,
this will be a good
very
segue
stupid,
for our next caller. But I had a similar, it's very similar experience, not very similar, somewhat similar, where one time in school, I don't remember how old I was, but I went in and we had these little like bowls of dirt on our a table, and then the teacher came in, and I must have been 10 or 11 years old maybe. And the teacher was like, okay, like we're gonna like find what's in the dirt and see. And so we dig in. There would be these like little rocks in there that were gold. And so like we were all like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is gold. And then we realized it was St. Patrick's Day. And so this was like the teachers was like, oh, you found some gold, yeah. And so it was painted.
It was the teacher.
They painted the rocks.
Oh my god.
And it was just a
it's
rock.
The opposite example. It's exactly the opposite example of what teachers
maybe it's more revealing
do.
of the American education system, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so before we
I bring that up because our next caller is Carl.
Yeah, that's true. It's Carl.
Carl, hello.
Welcome to the chat, Carl. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Thanks for calling.
Good.
Very good.
No worries.
Carl, can I take 1 second before we so that this doesn't become like too hard? But before we start chatting with you, to review where the story is going, because
please.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's hot
now. You've also been participating.
Yeah, you started it.
Let's start
we left off with Cloudy. That was the first one we can start from the beginning again.
No, but so I'll do it.
Okay.
Once upon a cloudy day night.
Laughter.
In Beijing and New York, a little man was bitten by a round dog. Okay, this is where we are. It's about a dog. It's dark.
Good start. I'm definitely going to get a bad grade from Mr. Penn due to the punctuation in there. There's very little correct, I think, about that sentence punctuation-wise, but maybe he'll give me some slack. Who knows?
Anyway, thanks for calling, Carl. How are you doing?
I'm good. I missed the very, very start of the show. We're talking about good and bad teachers. That's the idea, right?
That's correct. You missed nothing.
Teachers, love them, hate them, good examples, bad examples, whatever anecdotes you want to share.
Well, the ones that really stick out are the absolute weirdos. Like it always like, I mean, I don't know, it kind of felt a little normal at the time, and then after a certain age, you realize like how many just fucking weird teachers there are, and like when you try to imagine them in their own lives, it's like, what does that look like? We had one teacher. Well, so I had two brothers older than me in school, like 4 and 6 years ahead of me. So I kind of got a head start on what was coming up for me teacher wise. And one of the weirdest teachers that I never personally had, but both my brothers had, I forget his actual name, but everyone just called him Archie. And he was an old guy, like white hair, like balding, long white hair. And they had, I don't know what you call it. You know when you've got like mutton chops that turn into a tash?
Ooh, like continuous like this?
Yeah. That and like white and bushy. And he wore, like completely of his own volition, wore one of those old school like teacher capes, like the teachers in Harry Potter.
Really?
Like the only teacher in the whole school to do so. And he also wore wooden clogs. Like they were his shoes in work were wooden clogs.
Wow.
And there were tales of him. There were tales of him in the days when you were allowed to hit kids, of like flinging his clogs off his feet and hitting kids in the face and stuff, which I choose to believe, but I can't verify one way or the other. Yeah, that's
like a character from like a Roald Dahl. I feel like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's crazy.
Yeah. It sounds made up, but I think, I mean, there are probably literally thousands of people around my age who could attest to this guy being a real guy. One of the
what was his name? Did you say?
It was like Mr. Something Scottish, like, but everyone just called him Archie. I think his first name was Archie.
Oh, right, Archie. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is not a normal thing for a teacher to go by a nickname like Archie.
Well, I don't think people would be calling that to his face now. You know what I mean? But most of the teachers would have had nicknames. I mean, lest you risk getting a clog in the gob, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey Archie, can I go to the bathroom?
yeah. No, yeah, I think, yeah. And who knows? Maybe that's not true. Maybe he planted those rumors so kids would stay in line. I feel like it'd be, that's the type of thing you'd want to encourage as a teacher to instill fear in students.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Is this uniquely a like late 80s, early 90s like Irish private school thing, or did you have like complete weirdos for teachers?
I mean, I had complete weirdos for teachers, but I would say that whatever you just described, I guess, in my opinion, is extremely late 80s, early 90s Irish school teachers.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't know any other stereotypes of Irish school teachers. That's about it.
Yeah. I know.
I had teachers. Yeah, I was gonna say I had teachers that did weird things, but not that like they were weirdos in themselves. Like I had teachers that would like throw your pencils and stuff, like the thing where you hold the pencils and stuff, would throw them out of the window, like or like there was a teacher that I feel like was a drunk, but besides that, nothing kind of like eclectic. But also I went to a private school that was pretty conservative, I guess.
But yeah, I've got another good weirdo teacher. This is someone I did have. There's the only nun in the whole school. I was in a Catholic school, and there were a lot of priest teachers. I mean, they were dying off by the time I got there. But there was one nun, Sister Catherine, who was, I think, one of the singularly most evil people I've ever met. She was terrible. Like, yeah, absolute Roald Dahl villain. She didn't wear, she was a nun, but she wore like, normal civilian clothes. But she just had kind of the like, just such a severe face, just from a life of disapproving of children, you know what I mean? And she taught like loads of different things. She taught like, this when we were in like, I guess 6th grade, you would call it. So she taught like English, Irish, maths, and religion. And my brother, 4 years ahead of me, had her for all 4. And he hated her so much. I remember him sitting me down when I was like a young kid and describing in detail how he would like to murder her. He thought it all through, from like stabbing her several times in the abdomen and then kicking her off a clock tower somewhere. So, I soon came to realize what he was talking about. She was mental. She was really bad natured or whatever, but she had all these scams going. Like she sold us she forced us to use certain types of stationery, like certain copybooks, and you had to have all your like Irish stuff in a folder that she would sell you for like jacked up prices, and you wouldn't be allowed in class if you. And she just like created this like cartel in her class. She would do things like classes are like 40 minutes long, and she would make you spend like the first 10 minutes rearranging all the desks into kind of like a rising sun pattern around her, so all the desks are in this like fan shape pointing at her.
It sounds like a cult.
Yeah, absolutely. She was drunk on the power that she had over like 12-year-old kids, you know what I mean? And she had all these crazy acronyms. You had to do everything in a certain order. If you had her class before lunch, you had to eat your lunch, then go to your locker, and then go out. Which might not be what you wanted to do. Now, I'd maybe bring my sandwich outside. No, you weren't allowed to do that.
So it sounds like she was a cult leader. Like that's actually.
She definitely
had all kinds of rules that only she knew the truth behind.
Yeah, I mean, she was part of the Catholic Church, so I mean, she's
right. So she was part of a cult. Yeah.
But one of the most insidious things was she would force you to buy these cassette tapes that she had recorded, Irish language tapes, just like with her reading out like weather reports and stuff like that, and just like basic kind of Irish stuff. and she would force you to buy them. She couldn't force you to listen to them, but I used to torture my brother by sticking them on real loud, or like replacing a tape in his tape player with Sister Catherine. So he'd go to put on whatever music he wanted to listen to and have to listen to this woman of his nightmares who had traumatized him. And he eventually tore the tape apart and smashed it and stuff. But yeah, that was Sister Catherine.
Okay, yeah.
Crazy.
I don't think I can't. I'm having a hard time thinking about truly bad teachers. I know I've had some, but I'm having a hard time thinking about them. But I'm thinking about one teacher that I had in high school who was maybe just the most boring teacher in the world. Like I took Latin in high school, which was such a huge mistake. Like I should have taken another usable language, and for some reason I stuck with it because we had it was part of everyone's curriculum in middle school. I feel like in my town, and then like in high school, I for some reason chose to keep going with it and did it for like 2.5 years. And I don't remember anything. And this teacher was this really old woman named Mrs. Solons. And I'm still to this day convinced that she was the mother of this filmmaker, Todd Solondz, because I know he's from New Jersey, but I don't know where or anything. But she was this really, really old woman and like barely like talked throughout the class. Like she would just like make us slowly read these long excerpts of Latin stories and do all these exercises. And I think I fell asleep every single day for a small amount of time in that class, like for 2.5 years. Oh my God.
I did Latin. We had he was actually, this is one of the cool teachers. One of the few cool priests, Father Brown, who like his whole thing was he didn't give a fuck. He was about 80 and he was hilarious. And he taught like Latin and religion and English. Well, I had him for Latin and he would illustrate everything with these cool little stick figures. And he would tell us like dirty jokes and he would tell us stories of like smuggling playboys into the seminary when he was trained to be a priest. And he smoked these big cigars and he would like, if he wanted, he could bring in a cigar box and, you was just this really cool teacher. And he gave everybody was like, we did like 1 year of Latin and everyone was terrible at it. And he gave everybody an A and nobody questioned it.
Yeah.
Like, even if you failed, he would give you an A.
Yeah. It's funny like to hear that because I feel like if you went to a Catholic school or I guess maybe even like a more conservative private school of some kind, like that there's a whole list of taboo things that teachers can kind of like use to their advantage to get like kids to like them by kind of going against taboo stuff like that. But my school had like, I guess had nothing too taboo, but yeah.
Did you have any like, I don't know, priests or anything like that, or any? I mean, Nacho,
I went to a
any
British
priests in your
school.
Oh, okay.
No, I went to a British, pretty like not like very non-religious school mostly, and it was also like it was a weird school because it was a British school, so a lot like half of the classes were in English, half of the classes were in Spanish, so like that like also like was a collection of like international teachers that were kind of like, so it was a bunch of weirdos in the sense that it was like random teachers that were like posted in Montevideo teaching, even though they were either British or American or Australian or whatever. So it was always cool. Like an interesting mix of personalities there, like Scottish, British. So there was a mixture. I remember one Scottish teacher is the one that I said that was a drunk. He was very fun because I think he was just insane, like and he was a good physics teacher because he was smart and he made you think a lot, but he was kind of like insane and like not clean, like he was not even clean. So like I remember vividly his hands were always dirty. I don't know why, like, but 100% of the time. I don't know.
I had one teacher in my school that was famous for being sweaty all the time. So
yeah, I think every school had one of those.
But this was more than sweaty.
I don't remember his name, but he was so sweaty.
This guy like was kind of like the combination of like alcohol and coffee, like when you like really the two like coalesce and make a strange bond. So yeah, it was interesting.
Anyway,
Anyway.
thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
Thank you
nice
so
of guys.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you soon. Talk to you
Good night.
soon.
See you soon.
It's nice to say see you
let's-
soon or talk to you soon to people
Yeah.
on the live stream show. Let's
Yeah.
highlight the story that's continuing. We finally had a
Yeah.
punctuation to the end of that long sentence.
Thank you,
Kazinskaya. And we had a new sentence that began with every bite left a memory of Papa. Wow.
Wow.
Beautiful story so far.
Wow, that's amazing. Interesting. It's
Yeah.
dark. It's makes you think.
Yeah.
Also, like I like how the every ended up in like every bite. That was a bit of a nice oddball
Nice.
meaning. Like
Yeah.
nice turn, you know?
Someone threw the ball up and someone said, "Oh, that's in an interesting direction. I'll throw it that."
Oh, nice. You have a ball. Good job.
Oh, I discovered a fun thing that because I have a little patch of wall in front of me, so I can just like sit here. During the live.
Actually, you know what? Like you just made me. Oh, Trevor. You didn't catch your own ball, but you just made me want to have a ball, like a tennis ball to throw around. That sounds great.
Squeeze.
Anyway, so I wasn't sure this was going to happen, but I'm glad to report that we have joining us live our friend Bar Cam.
And yeah, we'll get to our last call
Hey, guys.
after we talk to Cam. Cam, how are you?
Hey Cam.
I'm okay. Hey Nacho. I was not in the apartment this weekend. I just finished a 4-hour drive up from Brooklyn from Bed-Stuy. So I had no idea what was going on. I got back like 10 minutes ago. But apparently
Yeah,
we're
thanks
talking
for
about
joining us.
teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
No
Thank you for
problem.
joining us. That's I'm thrilled to see you and happy that you made it in time, and hope the drive wasn't too stressful.
Oh no, it was fine. Not too much traffic. Listened to a lot of podcasts.
Nice.
Any teacher anecdotes, Cam, that you want to share?
Sure. So right when
You don't have to.
I think we're very delayed. No. So right when I came on, I think you guys were talking about a chemistry teacher. And I feel like high school chemistry must attract kind of crazy people because I had an insane chemistry teacher he was Vietnam War
actually.
veteran. Yeah, he
My
was a
teacher
major.
wasn't that insane.
But he's very eccentric. But kind of both feared and beloved by students. And probably an okay teacher. But had a lot of quirks, including he had a very strange point system that he would award, and then most of which were non-academic at all, right? Like there was the only one I can remember is there were gremlin points for, I guess, just embodying a gremlin. I think he used it as like a method just to kind of keep people engaged. But I had no time to prepare, so I thought, like, why don't we light something on fire? I think that's very in the spirit of high school chemistry.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Why not? No time to prepare.
Yeah.
Let's light something on fire. I love it.
Love it.
Exactly.
I'm so happy that on a live
so
stream show that
we're
I'm
gonna do
host, something will be lit on fire.
So we're gonna do a flaming Dr. Pepper shot, or I guess it's technically a bomb, right? Because we're gonna drop it into.
It's
Also,
a flaming
sounds
Dr.
like the kind
Pepper
of thing high
bomb.
school kids would think is cool.
Yeah, except I really hope high school kids aren't torching their Dr. Pepper.
Well, I think it's the kind of thing like if you go to a high school like party and someone's like, "Do you want to do a flaming Dr. Pepper shot?" You would be really jazzed about it. So half a beer you want to use something pretty plain and regular. I got Yingling, which is amazing and delicious. It's the America's oldest brewery, or it's the oldest continually operating brewery because they made like medicine during Prohibition. And I use 3/4 of an ounce of Di Serono, which is an almond liqueur. And then you need something overproof to light on fire. So it calls for overproof rum. Usually you'd use something like Bacardi 151. I have Ray and Nephew white overproof rum from Jamaica. So I think that'll definitely be cooler. Jamaican rum is real soup. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. Guess we're having a lot.
It's gonna burn.
We're just gonna float that on top. And hopefully it'll light on fire. The problem with there we go. So the problem with alcohol is that it burns very clean, so you can't really see it. So a common trick that bartenders use to like make it more impressive is they grate cinnamon.
Oh, yeah.
So the cinnamon
Oh,
lights on
Oh,
fire, and
that's
you get
so
these like
cool.
little sparks.
ooh.
So especially for like tiki drinks, right? That's pretty common.
Oh yeah.
Because
You know, I just realized-
unless you're in a very dark bar, you can barely see the flames.
I just realized, like, because all these recipes stay up online on these videos that you made. That and that Comedy Cafe Berlin should definitely take one of these drinks. We should maybe have a voting competition for what drink from Cam we should. I'm gonna pitch that to
Yeah.
Noah or Josh, who may be on the line next.
So normally, if I was a high schooler, I would chug this, right?
So did you drop it inside?
I just dropped it inside because I was afraid of what would keep happening if I left it on fire. Because who knows? Maybe like the like cheap Las Vegas shot glass breaks or something.
Yeah.
It's definitely not tempered or anything. Well, here we'll go see if it does taste good. A little bit like Dr. Pepper.
I'm very
strangely
curious
banana-y because of the rum.
Let's see. There we go. Interesting. Wow. Yeah, banana-y. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sweet. Nice. Thanks, Cam.
Very cool. Thank you,
Yeah.
Cam. Thank you so much.
Wow, there you go. And another recipe to add in the book.
Yeah.
And talking about book, Trevor, before we take our last call, how's our story going?
Yeah. Let's check in. So we ended with where is it? Papa, right? It left memory of Papa. And Carl, thank you for adding punctuation to that. Then next sentence starts off really strong. Richard Killiam, hey, how does one call in? Is it too late? Asked the little man. Little man, what? Barked. Replied the round dog. Punctuation. Thank you, Carl. Neither of them understood how and we still have it open-ended.
Oh, what
neither
a
of them understood how
cliffhanger.
the cliffhanger. We're gonna have to wait to finish that. I also love that we say it out loud because it's new to us, but for everyone in the comments, they're like, yeah, we've been reading this the whole time.
But I think like the audience would like that the story is featured.
So let's bring on our last caller then.
Bring on our
for
last
tonight.
caller. Yeah, last caller.
Josh, hello.
Oh my goodness, I'm the last caller again. I feel so privileged.
Hey, we save
You
it
are.
for you every week.
I was trying to think about what I was going to talk about because I've got so many. Ironically, I hated high school because of how it ended, but I had some really amazing teachers. And I think actually, I had a few amazing. My photography teacher, I think, was actually pivotal for me too, ironically. I think actually the most pivotal person in my school was not actually a teacher; it was my guidance counselor. which maybe it doesn't count entirely, but she got me out of high school early. She told me about not early decision, but early admission to college. And she pulled a lot of strings to let me leave high school after 11th grade. And I started university.
Oh.
I was a program that doesn't exist anywhere anymore, but at the time there were a handful of universities that let you start your freshman year and complete your senior year at the same time. And my guidance counselor pulled enough strings that she let me sign up for these classes at NYU where I ended up going that counted as my 12th grade high school classes, and then gave me my diploma, my high school diploma, after my freshman year of college, which my college then continued to accept. And I think if I hadn't have done that, at the very, very minimum, I would have been an incredibly miserable person. But I think my life would be very, very different, because I was in a really bad place. And she, I feel like guidance counselors are often like, probably legitimately, like they don't do a lot. They're not actually quite guidance counselors, but like my guidance counselor was like actually, quite pivotal in terms of where I am now.
Wow, yeah,
Anyway,
that's amazing. So you have a very, like in an alternate dimension, a very goth version of you that went to senior year of high school.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have turned into a goth. I don't know.
Like just like really dark Josh Telson.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I may very well have turned into a townie. I'd still be living in Woodstock now. I mean, not that I don't want to put that down. There are plenty of people I love that still stayed in my hometown, but I would have been one of the people who should have left and never did.
Yeah, I mean, like in that alternate dimension, Noah still came over to Berlin, and he's like, Josh, man, like you're miserable in Woodstock. You should come and be like, shut up, man, Berlin's fucking fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, that's great.
The funny thing,
Josh, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to ask like how, like it must have been an incredibly interesting experience, like going to in your freshman year and kind of knowing that you're finishing your senior year at the same time. Like how was that?
Well, so the funny thing is, it really was. I wish that they would do it more often. And frankly, I wish they would do that and be more accepting for gap years in the States. I think it's too rigid in the States in terms of like, you graduate high school and now you go off to university and you have to do this amount of years and all that. And the flexibility that she kind of presented for me really kind of, opened me up to like just being able to do different stuff. And I went to film school. The funny thing is that I literally, all I needed to do, I think the only thing that I did that was like slightly different than any other freshman was that I had to take, I signed up for a running class at the gym or something, because I had to meet a physical education requirement. And so like I signed up for this thing where like every week we would meet and we would run laps at the NYU gym. And that counted as like that was the only thing I needed to do differently. Other than that, like I signed up for like one of my general education classes was just like, I took game theory, which counted as my senior year math class. And
cool.
It was like so insane. I took a junior level game theory class as a freshman. It was so crazy. Yeah. And then other than that, she just basically said like, oh yeah, you're in this writing class. That'll count as your English requirement. And she basically like fudged things enough that classes I was taking anyway as a freshman at NYU counted towards my high school diploma.
That's really cool. I love the idea of you in this running group. Like,
it was awful.
Like
it was so
you're like
awful.
running and be like, so like, who's having parties tonight? Aren't you in high school? Me? No. Well, I'm here. Why would I be in high school? I'm here.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that I did 2 years of kindergarten because, actually, I thought it was because I didn't speak English well enough because we had just moved to the States right before I started kindergarten. But my mom corrected me only recently to be like, oh, no, your English was fine. They just thought you needed another year. And I was like, oh, so I was just a fucking idiot who needs to do 2 years of kindergarten. But because of that, like I was actually 18 when I was the same age as everyone else who was starting
Right.
university.
That's it.
Yeah. I had really young teachers in high school. It was very strange because they were doing this like forced retirement thing or they were incentivizing a lot of teachers to retire early. So I had some teachers who were like on their way out, who were still like pretty cool. And then I had teachers who it didn't occur to me until I got into my 20s myself that I was like, oh my God, I'm 24 and I am the age now that like my high school English teacher was, like, or my history teacher was only like 8 years older than me when I was taking that class at 16, 17 years old.
Yeah. I used to think about that when after college, when some of my friends started substitute teaching at different high schools, and I was like, oh my, I remember substitute teachers. They were 22 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah.
Anyway,
thank you, Josh.
yeah, sure. Nice topic. And I feel like my only issue with your topic this week, guys, is that you're not addressing the fact that Nacho is a crazy lino cut artist. Like, this has been revealed. We have to talk about.
Using this in the show more.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want.
Well, we can talk about this. Nacho kept this a secret from me, like a complete secret from me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
From everybody, I had no idea either, and he swore me to secrecy until the show.
Yeah, but it's incredible. I mean, look at this T-shirt he's wearing. It's like the coolest thing.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun, and also like I've been wanting to hang one there like for a while, but didn't dare, just to not like make Trevor ask or anything. But like if you look at my other walls, my room is a mess, but I have like some of them hanging in different places. So yeah, this is what I do now.
It's a nice one, man.
I'm considering taking some art classes soon, so it's gonna be fun.
Very cool. You gotta take the ad and have it at. Take the ad and have it at.
Actually, like I'm considering like my talking about teachers, my master's tutor, my mentor there. He's a painter. He paints a lot and like amazing things. And I was just chatting with him over the weekend, and he's going to connect me to a teacher, to a plastics teacher in Uruguay, that I'm very interested about because my former master's teacher, he described him as a drunk but fun anarchist with a great eye.
That's the only way anyone would ever want to be described, I feel like.
Exactly. I hope that's how someone describes me in a few years.
Oh, Josh? Oh, he's a drunk anarchist.
Yeah, Josh? Yeah.
Josh, I smell your Twitter bio now from a mile away.
Yeah.
Josh.
Changing it right now.
Yeah. The next time you call in, we're gonna present you. Oh, okay. So this caller is Josh. He's a drunk anarchist.
You know him. He's everyone's favorite drunk anarchist. With a great eye. Josh Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Now I'm going to have to act drunk all the time. Great.
Captain Josh Sparrow. That's the you in the alternate dimension that went to high school for another year.
That's exactly right.
Captain Josh Sparrow. And he walks around Woodstock with a like bottle of rum.
Yeah, with the crazy hair and the pirate outfit. I would not be out of place at all. At all.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Twice.
I think next time you go back to Woodstock, you got to film that as a character, please.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks for the call, Josh. It was great
having
you again in the show. A drunk anarchist with a great eye. Okay, so we're closing the show, and I think we cannot close the show fully until we finish the story.
Yes.
Right? So we had a huge cliffhanger going on.
Yes, let's start with that whole sentence again. So neither of them understood how the Richard Killiam worked. How strange. Life isn't ellipsis, square, not a rhombus. The end.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you all so much for doing my homework assignment from 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That I
That's
can now
great.
turn into Mr. Penn.
Yeah, if somebody has the will and the effort to coalesce the whole story in one in one single message, so that we don't have to do the work, that would be lovely. But thank you so much for writing the story, everyone, and thanks for
And you know
joining
what?
us for the show.
Just while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and put a waiver on this one. This is a short story that can be submitted as a poem to our poetry competition. That submissions are still open, so anyone can submit a poem.
Yeah, so the last weekend of January is the last time to submit a poem to our poetry competition that started on the last week of January this year. So please.
I think it's a front runner now.
Poems.
I'm not gonna skew the vote or anything, but
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everyone. It was a great fun having you.
Bye everyone.